I'll just wait a couple minutes just to see if anyone else wants to come in before we start, right?
Perfect, hon. Just like that, tell them it's been recorded and watch it later on. Like, I don't want to put it up and remind everyone it's been recorded, because if we do that, nobody will come. You know, they're all there. I'll watch it another time. But yeah, I'm here. Well done. Just introduce yourself, talk about the new role that you're in, and like that your whole concern, I suppose, and your whole interest in it is the welfare of the volunteers, because without the volunteers, basically, we have nothing, you know. So, like that, you know, and the rest then is about like that, what counselling is, supervision, and all that kind of stuff. So brilliant.
Fiona, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, guys. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. I'm in the middle of a room in a hotel, so there'll be people going by. I'm awful sorry. Just that our room's not ready yet.
Oh, no, you're fine. Don't worry about that. Yeah, no, thank you so much for logging in. So yeah, just if you need to mute it or anything like that, make sure you feel free to do so. But yeah, no, it's just brilliant that you could make it.
Great.
I'm going to mute myself, guys, and hand over to Jake there. So yeah, everybody, you were really welcome. Delighted to see so many of you logging up. And I'll hand over to Jake.
I'm just going to give it one more minute, guys, just in case anyone else comes in, right? Leona, you're able to admit people in anyways, can't you?
Yeah, I can keep an eye on the room there and leave people in as they come. Yeah, no bothers at all. Idal, I can see you there. You have your hand up on. I just wondering, is everything okay?
Yeah.
No, it's
just say hi.
Yeah, okay.
Great. That's perfect.
All right, guys, we'll start. So,
Hi, Jake.
hi, how are you? Who's that talking there?
Idal, how you doing?
Good now, yourself?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Well, are you with Ennis Limber?
I'm in Ennis, Jake. Yeah. I do sport and suicide prevention, and I'm also the welfare officer for volunteers.
Cool. So we'll be chatting. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Idal is the girl that I was talking to yesterday about, Jake, that like she's looking after the welfare side for all the NS volunteers. So I was suggesting to Jake that you might be the one to help him with when we are doing supervision, just the booking process of making sure the volunteers are booked in and you know what time suits them and stuff like that. Brilliant. Thanks a million, Idal. That's brilliant, because he'll need that help. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, we'll figure out some system or something, so we're not going around chasing people to do it. We'll figure something out now. All right, guys, I'm gonna start this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See the PowerPoint?
Yeah. All. Yeah. Perfect. Sounds fine.
Yeah.
So obviously, there might be a misconception on what supervision is and what it isn't. Supervision can be scary, especially in a workplace. Like a lot of companies and types of jobs, supervision might be more seen as like what you're doing wrong, and you know you can nearly feel like you're getting in trouble in the concept of supervision. But that's not what this is, especially in terms of what we're going to be doing. It's more just for a place for people to grow and improve their practice, right? So. Definition I found here of supervision in regards to counseling perspective. So the formal provision by approved supervisors of a relationship-based education and training that is work-focused and which manages, supports, develops, and evaluates the work of colleagues. And that's exactly what it is. The real aim is just to have experts with backgrounds in front of you, and basically we're not all perfect. We're going to make mistakes within the field we work with. It can be tough to sometimes make a decision and know what decision to make. And you have to sometimes make the decision very quickly. So those types of decisions you have to make can make people feel uncomfortable, and you can bring those up within supervision, and they can help guide you on what to do. And just say if you're in a group class, someone might have one thing and you're like, oh my God, I never thought of that. I'll make sure I'll do that so this doesn't happen. And it takes, it's like a preventive measure
Okay.
to ensure the well-being of yourself. It helps, well, it helps the company overall as well in terms of looking after the volunteers, looking after volunteer or service users and volunteers, obviously. But it really is just a space for you guys to grow and improve your practice.
So can I just ask a question there?
Yeah,
So for myself, I actually have got a supervisor
Mhm.
outside of the practice, but my hours will be done within the organisation. So can I actually use yourselves for supervision,
well,
or stay with the one I've got? I don't know quite.
are you with ICAS, are you? Yeah.
I was.
okay.
I'm past now. Yeah. Level 8 done.
Okay. Fair play, yeah.
I can come in on that. Sorry, Jake, I hadn't thought of that actually. Karen, is it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, hey Karen. So yeah, it's I suppose because you're providing counselling, you'll also need your own supervision separate, because the supervision that we would be providing will be more peer support based, and the support that you'll be giving will be more one-to-one counselling based. So there is a difference, I suppose, in the approach, and there's also a difference in the way in which supervision will be given. So what I would say there is, we'll tick you off that you have your own supervision, and you're welcome to engage also in the group supervision if you want to, but there wouldn't be an onus on you at all to do it. So that's what I would say. And the same to any ICAS student. You have your own supervision within ICAS. You'll still need to actually do that for part of your course, because you give one-to-one support on the phone, you give follow-up support, stuff that the regular volunteers don't do. So your supervision will be slightly different in ways. So just we'd be encouraging you to come along, because you're also you would be encouraging you to come along to what you can, but your supervision technically is looked after in your own one. So yeah, thanks Karen for bringing that up, because
that's
there is
great
a bit of a grey line.
clarity. Great, thanks Leona, thanks for that.
Yeah, and just on that, like again, you said it's not absolutely essential if you're already getting the supervision, but I'd recommend it, sure, if you're around, and
yeah, it'd be nice to stay in touch and that, and meet everyone face to face. Yeah,
have kind of conversations around it. And I suppose your supervisor, especially when it's your own supervisor, they're kind of like looking out for you, you know, and your well-being. Well, the supervision here is more organization as a whole, so there'll be slightly different elements. Like there'll be things that your supervisor doesn't actually know about Haven Hub, so it wouldn't come up into discussion, whether it's in the group supervision with my move.
Great, that's great clarity, thanks for that.
No worries. Thank you. So how often will volunteers have to participate in supervision? Sorry guys. Basically once every 2 shifts or once a month, unless there was a severe intervention, which I'm sure some of you have heard of different ones, but if there's a severe intervention in which case an emergency supervision can be arranged to help ensure the volunteers' well-being. So, you know, and that's an important note, that like, you know, you don't know who's going to come through the doors. Often the people we work with have a lot of problems, a lot of grief, a lot of trauma, severe mental disorders. You know, some things are even out of our scope of practice, and we're just trying to do our best to help people. Do you know what I mean? And that's why this needs to be in place, because we're working with such vulnerable people, and you know, some people, you know, might not have a full-on background, they just want to help. So this supervision is a protective factor for the individuals, for Haven Hub, and well, for service users as well. So like you don't do anything wrong, and even if you do make a mistake, because as I said, they're inevitable. Um, you know, by doing supervision, you can fix on it and you can improve and kind of make sure it doesn't happen again. So yeah, every 2 shifts, ideally, or once a month. Um, it is going to be in person in Perry Square in Limerick. Now we are going to look at to get it online as well, because we can't be expecting people traveling from all sorts of places just go to the supervision. There is more benefit to doing supervision in person anyways, kind of like counseling a person to online. It works, but it's a bit different. So we're going to try and find an option where it can be online and that as well. And does anyone have any questions around that?
No.
No.
We're good. So
I just put into the chat there. They've actually offered to come out and visit the Ennis branch and the Mitchelstown branch too as well in person. So like that, even if it's only every second time that it's in person in those branches, I think it would be great. Now the only thing is we will need to rent a room or something like that. But they're willing to. All we have to pay the supervisors for is their mileage, which is well worth it. So hopefully at least every second face-to-face one will every second one will be face-to-face in both those branches as well, which would be great. We just need to basically find a room. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So who will provide supervision? My Move have been grateful enough to kind of take on this project. So they'll facilitate it with Dr. James Canan overseeing it. He's a guy who's a lot of experience, a lot of background to working with people, vulnerable people. So basically, practitioners progressing towards their master's degree in basically a field around psychotherapy, psychology, they'll facilitate these sessions as they're basically qualified, or they're qualified in training, like they're nearly there. Give them the experience for their career, and it will also help us. And when you hit level 9, I haven't hit level 9, but yeah, they just get to have a kind of a deeper understanding to all this, and they know a lot of the do's and don'ts. And again, a lot of what we do can be very gray. Sometimes you could believe in, and you'd be like, oh, did I do that right? Or did I say this? Or, it's just one little thing you could do wrong. And it's okay. Do you know what I mean? As I said, we're all going to make these mistakes. I've made my own mistakes as well. That's why this is all getting put into place, to kind of add a bit more structure to all this, so people have a better sense of direction.
We learn by our mistakes as well, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah.
We all have, yeah.
Yeah. So who's a fair, as we said, it's going to be for everyone. Originally, it was only going to be for Limerick, but we managed to get it for everyone. So yeah, once a month, every 2 shifts. And look, if there's a month you can't make it or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just if you're actively involved in Haven Hub, you're doing a lot of shifts, and doing interventions, get to these, like they're only going to be benefiting to you, and they might even just benefit you in other ways. Like we'll look at the benefits now in a sec, but it's not just like improving you within Haven Hub, like there's a lot of personal development and all sorts of things that can happen. But we'll look at the benefits now in a couple minutes. So this is a bit of a big one. So what to expect during supervision exactly? Because I don't know if anyone here hasn't done it, might be a bit nervous, might feel like you're going into an exam or something, but it's really not that. Like it should be aimed. The aim is to create a safe atmosphere where you can grow. As I said, it can be daunting, but it'll be such a useful tool for us and service users, because they'll get benefit out of us because we're getting better as practitioners or as volunteers. So essentially you'll go into a session with a handful of other people, either on Zoom or in person. You'll then chat around any interventions that you've recently been involved in, or maybe one's just kind of playing your mind, whatever. So this includes any in-person interventions on shift, even messaging, if you're using the Facebook, or any follow-up calls you've made with volunteers. Again, the follow-up calls would be more for the ICAS students. So basically, anytime you're in contact with a service user in any way, in any form of conversation, you know, there's always concern. Like you always need to be like just wary of like what you're doing, how you're doing it, and again, this is the place where you can talk about it. So given the complexity of the people we work with, there are blurred lines. Sometimes you do have to make a judgment call on what to do, and that can put you in a position in which you feel uncomfortable. You know, and I'm sure if anyone's done a few interventions, you know, we can all relate there. But one of the main purposes of attending these sessions really is to ensure like that us volunteers know what to do, how to do it, especially in regards to ethics, legal obligations, Haven Hub policy, you know, overall really, you know yourself, there's ethics to consider, there's as I said, there's legal side, there's a few different areas, like, so this may include discussions around intervention approaches like QPR, you know, whether you're applying that right, or whether, you know, you missed something, or the limits to confidentiality. That's a big one. Like, you know, given with the people we work with, like, you know, people are going to be suicidal. People are going to want to hurt themselves. They might be very angry at people. They might want to hurt other people. Abuse, trauma. Like, what's interesting about the limits to confidentiality in a counseling perspective, you bring it up to clients and they're aware of it, but it's like, it's more likely that you're going to have to break it here in the likes of the counseling room, because you're going to have people more likely to hurt themselves. You have to make a report to the authorities. Someone brings up abuse, any form of abuse around children, you have to make a disclosure to TUSLA. If anyone just brings up abuse in general and they name the person, you now know that person, so you're obligated to, well, I think you'd have to inform Haven Hub, and then they make the decision of what to do next. But if they just talk about the abuse and they're not necessarily naming people, it's fine, but it's important that you clear all that up within confidentiality. It'd be awkward doing confidentiality, like it's kind of like, how to describe it, you nearly feel like a forced conversation if you've never done it much. And people might be looking at you with foreheads, but it's really important. Like, I was in Haven Hub yesterday, and I had a person that came in, and they were very down and anxiety and stuff like that. And you know, I made it clear on the limits to confidentiality, that parent herself or others, or if there's a child involved and I think they're in danger, or so I just went through it all with them. And I was like, after I was like, are you okay with that? Do you understand that? And they say, yeah. And then, you know, because if you break it, you have to break it if they do it anyway. You have to get someone else involved. But if they break it and they're not aware of it, they might be mad at you. And because in their eyes, you've broken their trust. And again, trust is a very important part of all this. If people don't trust us, they're not going to open up. They're not going to get the true help they need. Other discussions around all this could be boundary management. Again, like how like what to do with gifts. The person yesterday was trying to give me 20 quid. Like, you know, I'll say I can take that, so just, you know, just give it to Haven Hub, whatever. And, you know, and even if it's flowers, whatever, it could be nice, you know, and sometimes it'd be hard to, you know, decline the gift, but it's kind of just what we have to do. There's many other boundaries, like, you know, if you can get someone into a narrative too much, if it hits close to home, for example, you might become, rather than your profession, you might try and rescue that person. It's not really your job to rescue, it's your job to listen to their story, it's your job to empathize, maybe offer a bit of advice if you have a background, maybe different organizations, signposting, all that. You know, boundaries are a big one. Boundaries are going to play a lot. Someone reminds you of someone when they came in. There might be bias, there might be transference and counter transference, which is essentially putting your stuff, your own personal stuff, responding in that way as if the person in front of you is like, reminds you of your mom or your dad or your brothers or your friends, and you nearly respond as if they're that person, or they might do it to you. They might treat you like, you might said something that resonates with them, and it reminds them of their mother, and they might say something to you, and then you might buy into it. Again, boundaries is very important. It's important you try to remain non-biased, non-judgmental, non-critical. If someone's, you know, shitting on the health system, which probably none of us really like, you know, none of us like them agreed, you know, we know it's not great in terms of all this as well, and A&E and all that, but we can't be there, you know, giving out with them how much we don't like it, realistically. And then other things like GDPR, you know, notes and all that, follow-up calls, etc. It's really anything, anything you have. There's a place for learning, a place to ask any questions you are unsure of, and even improve your own practice. Again, we all like to think we're perfect, but we do make mistakes, and the primary focus really from supervision is to learn from these. These sessions can act as a protective barrier for volunteers and ensure preventive measures are in place so you know what to do in the future should a similar situation arise. It's also a place for you to be honest and true to yourself. You know, don't hold back. And if your own life is difficult, or a particular intervention was difficult because you weren't not sure what to do or hit close to home, you can bring these topics to the session. You know what I mean? In other words, supervision is a place to be open, aims to provide clarity among practice, help improve professional competence, and most importantly, ensure the positive well-being for both volunteers and service users. Does anyone have any questions on anything else around expectations or anything like that?
No, but I just feel, you know, if somebody comes into us and you know, they're thankful with the support after one night and they feel they don't need us anymore, I just feel myself it's important that we offer that follow-up call, that our door is always open to them. I think that's vitally important.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like always, you know, even that person that we had yesterday, she was very unsure about coming in, and I could tell she was nervous, and it took a lot of courage for her to come in. And she said that, like, that she's been debating this for like the last 2 days, and and she was like, she was thinking, oh, we're wasting our time and all this. A lot of them are like that because they're very low. They don't really value themselves that much in the place they're at. So they might not think that their life or their time is worth to, you know, the haven of, which is completely not true. Like, but you know, that's just their perspective. So obviously you validate them and say, no, like, we help everyone. She was like, no, I know you only help suicidal people and all this, and I was like, no, we help anyone who's any bit down or just wants to come in for a chat, you know, kind of normalize that. And again, in regards to follow-ups, like on Friday, she said she'll come in on Saturday, and it was like 10 o'clock and I still didn't hear from her.
Mhm.
So I just sent her a text saying, on the Haven a message saying, hey, just to let you know, we are open from 8 to 2. And then she said, then she took the time and said, okay, I'm gonna come in, blah, blah, blah. And it took a lot of courage. That follow-up is a lot. And it shows that you're passionate and that you care, that you're not just like, just doing this for crack or doing this for hours or whatever the reason is. Yeah, no, so follow-up calls and all that, and just offer that it's crucial. Yeah.
I feel maybe if we offered an appointment as opposed to just calling, we're open from 8 to 2 a.m. Give a specific time, maybe 8:30 to 9:30, so that they know that time is their time.
Yeah. Well, when you do when the ICAS do the follow-up calls, I think it is ICAS to do follow-up calls. Correct me if I'm wrong, Leona. Basically, they arrange a time with the person, anyways, on the phone and like when to do it. And Tuesday, like I remember, I had one for about 6 to 8 sessions. Really nice person, and it was always every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. And I had the work phone, and she texted me off that if we need to arrange something else. And that's another thing. If you are doing follow-up calls, if you're only talking to once a week and you can arrange the session within that call, great. But if they have to cancel, or you have to cancel, or you have to rearrange something, how do you contact? You can't use your email. It can be awkward using the Haven Hub login. So, if you are doing frequent follow-up calls with ICAS, I'd recommend getting some sort of little Blockia or a little phone for like 50 quid or something. You can use that number then, because it's not your own number, and you don't have to do the whole make your number private thing. And they're most likely to answer a phone number when they can see a number, and just go private number, like who answers private numbers, so yeah.
That's great, because I was wondering about that, because there's the company phone, and you only get that on a Saturday, and I was wondering how that would be working, but that's cleared that up as well. Thanks.
And
if it's okay to come in there as well, Jake, there's just something that I'm trying to put in place at the minute for the ICAS students as well, which should help with that. So we're going to have an admin person that's going to have a separate phone to the Haven Hub, separate, for all branches that are in contact with anyone that does follow up. So everyone that's on that WhatsApp ICAS group will be able to see them. I think either Nicola or Sonia will be the admin person. So they'll have a phone, and what that person will be is they'll be a middle person between you and the service users, so that they can text or WhatsApp or ring and make your appointments, and so that if someone needs to cancel, they can go through that. Now, obviously, you still have the choice of having your own specific phone, but it's just to try and keep down the costs for yourselves and stuff. Obviously, we'd love to be able to give everyone that does follow up their own phone. It's just not feasible money wise and stuff. So in the next couple of weeks, what you'll have is you'll have a number that you'll be able to give somebody for follow-up calls, and that'll be just to take appointments. And to be honest, that might be a bit safer, because if that person is feeling like they're struggling and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're not on duty, and they have a phone number for you, they might think that you would get that message when you won't. So at least if they know that phone number is just for appointments, just if they need to cancel, or if they need to change their appointment, or if you need to check someone. I know it's a bit annoying having a middle person, but it's also a safety guard for yourselves, because like regular counsellors, they wouldn't obviously take phone calls at any time. So if that feels like an option that ICAS students would prefer, I'm putting that in place in the next couple of weeks as well, just so that it's not on private number. Now, that means that when you do ring the person, it will be on private number, but they'll be expecting you at a certain time. They'll be told, okay, I have that appointment set up for you there, and it's at 8 o'clock, and the person ringing you will be on private. They're expecting it. So that's just another option there to be able to get over the fact that, contact is so important. And, the agreement you make on a Saturday for the next time that you want to follow up with someone, that can change, so I'll have that admin person allocated in the next couple of weeks. That'll help with that as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like again with the phones and all that, like, you know, you get it if someone's calling you a random part, you know, randomly at night and you have your own phone, you know, it's tough. Like again, it's boundaries. You know, you gotta set your boundaries. Like, you know what I mean. But also, like, if someone's ringing and you know that they're hating up, you're gonna be like, so, you know, having that phone there as like someone else's duty kind of thing when you're not kind of on duty is also another benefit to that. You know, you don't want the person to become reliant completely on you. And I'd say that when working with anyone or even any individual that I'm talking to, whether it's a friend or family, like if the person becomes reliant on you or reliant on the organization, often you can, that kind of help can turn into kind of nearly enabling them to kind of either stay that way or you know, they finally have someone that hears their story and they finally have someone that listens to them, an organization that helps, you know, and next thing you know, they're just dependent on this person for support. Like we had this person one time
Oh, definitely.
calling every day, like and we had to bring the authorities multiple times for this person because they were saying they're suicidal and the guards would drive down and the person be in the house, you know, things like that. Those things happen because boundaries aren't in place properly, and that's what this is, and it'll be a huge discussion within supervision boundaries. And everyone has subjective perspective on life. We all have different beliefs, different things, different systems, different ways we were taught on life, what's right, what's wrong, moral compasses, all that. So we just need to be aware of our own boundaries, our own stuff. Something's too hard, something's too difficult, it hits too close to home. Even if in the room, say, hey, I just got the toilet, or hey, I'm just gonna grab a coffee. Someone else in the room, it's fine. They won't even know. They won't even think. Say I gotta take a call or something like that. That's more important that you sit than staying in this place where you're just completely uncomfortable and you can't focus and you're not even good to that person at that point either, and you're just damaging your own health. It's too close to home, or even if you're on shift and you're like not in the mood, like just say you've had a bad day or you're sad about something or you've got some news in the middle of your shift or whatever, and you're just not in that zone and you're meant to be in that zone, like, you know, see if you want to switch around with someone. Say, look, can I just do this auxiliary tonight? Can I just watch the messages and stuff like that and relay that in the headspace? You know, reach out if you're not feeling it. Do you know what I mean? This work can be tough. It's very complex often, and again, the people we work with, it's different, like compared to regular counseling. Like it's more severe, you know. And it's great for experience for ICAS as well, because you're going to be kind of thrown into the deep end in a good way, because you're going to have to pick up confidentiality quick, you pick up different things quicker here than you would in other places. Now, look, every place has their benefits and, you know, advantages, disadvantages, but the severity of these people, it's great. It's a good experience, and again, people are resonating with the service, so clearly we're doing something right. So benefits of supervision: provides a deeper level of awareness, encourages competent practice, can help volunteers' mental well-being, acts as a protective barrier for volunteers and Haven Hub as a whole. Helps ensure we are doing the job to the best of our ability for the people we work with. Improves your knowledge and skills in the field of mental health. I'm getting a bit of a background noise. Is that me? Oh,
Just not sure.
I was wondering if everybody else that's not talking could mute, that might eliminate the background noise. Doesn't seem.
That one.
Karen, could you try muting?
Sorry, I thought I had. Sorry.
It's okay. Perfect. Thank you.
nope, that's not too bad anyways. So,
I think that's actually helped, definitely on my side.
yeah, so there's an array of benefits to supervision. It's not just, you know, improving your practice in Haven Hub. It can improve your self-awareness, it can improve your own life, because you might spot something that you did and you're like, why did I do that? And then you realize you do that every day in life, and you're like, oh, you catch yourself. And yeah, protects you, improves your knowledge and all that. Like, so there is a lot of benefits. There's probably more that I haven't even thought of, but they're the big ones. Yeah. So where will supervision take place? So it'll be in person in Limerick by Perry Square, across the other side of the field. Fiona knows I am not from Limerick. I am a Shannon man, so I do not know the Limerick region amazingly well, but I have a pretty understanding where it is, by the big park kind of thing, by Perry Square. And again, there's an option online, and as Leona said, it's going to be arranged so the supervisors will come into NS Mitchelstown, whatever, you know. So yeah, I know Leona has an exact address somewhere, so when this is all set up and ready to go, we'll send you the proper address. When will the supervision start? So we'll host a Zoom meeting towards the end of October. That is this, and supervision will then be aimed to start a week or two after that. Now, on that note, they did say there's going to be a delay on their end. We're trying to figure out what that is, some technical things, or maybe people aren't ready yet, or whatever. But the aim is to start as soon as possible. But you know, don't worry, it's not like you don't have to come supervision like tomorrow or anything like that. So you'll have time. You have maybe a couple of weeks in advance to figure it out. But there is a bit delay on their end, and there's even a bit delay on our end ourselves. But yeah, it'll definitely be sorted as soon as we can. But see whenever they're ready. Here's another thing. So difference between supervision and counseling. So especially within this context. So supervision is, as we said, I feel like I repeat myself now, but it's kind of to improve your own practice and all that, and to ensure you know, services are protected, you're protected. That's great. That's all great. And again, you can bring in your own stuff. Any interventions that are difficult, all that can go into supervision. But you're having a tough time in just life, and you know that's inevitable. Maybe you're stressed, maybe you're down on yourself, whatever. You know, everyone has a story. We're all not here for in this organization for no reason. We all have a background. There is support that Haven Hub can offer. The ICAS volunteers can offer counselling to volunteers. Essentially, they just have to be from different branches. So Limerick, people who volunteer in Limerick, for example, they can help provide over the phone counseling to say Ennistown or Mitchelstown or Ennis or Mitchelstown. People who are volunteers that are in college and they're based in Ennis, they can help Limerick or Mitchelstown. They just can't, if they work with the person, they can't really provide the kind of support. Now, it used to be like that. That used to be allowed, but that's changed. I think that was a no-go by, is it James or ICAS? I don't know. One of them were like, don't want to do that. And also, yeah, look, it's, you know, it's a good preventive measure again to kind of, you know, if you're there knowing someone's whole life story and you work with them, they might just be a bit, you know, coming in or whatever. You know, the relationship might change, the dynamic of the relationship between. So the support is there if you need counseling. We can offer that, and that'll be in place in a couple of weeks. Again, so if you're just having personal problems, it's not to say that you can't bring anything personal into supervision, you know, but often it's going to be group or one-to-one. So, you know, be honest and be yourself. You know, you can't be there chatting about your life story for half an hour, you know. But you can in counseling and you can in therapy. That's basically what it's all about. Yeah, that's it, guys. Does anyone have any questions or anything like that?
I think you covered everything for me anyway.
Yeah, it's just to help clarify, you know, anything around questions we have. It'll be recorded and sent. And if you have any more questions about any of this, even approaches or anything, like, you know, just send me a text. I'm in all the group chats, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere. You know, and I did this, like, I helped kind of set this all up because I myself made mistakes, unclear boundaries or something I was unsure of, and you just make a decision and it turns out to be the wrong decision. And, you know, they're only little things, but again, it can really blow up proportionally, you know. Like I've had my own experience. I'm not just doing this for practice. This is very important. It's very important to protect you, and it's very important to, from a legal perspective, from a mental perspective, from a financial perspective. You get sued for anything, right? So that's what this is for. So, you know, it's okay to make mistakes.
Thanks a million, Jake. Yeah, just to pop in there, guys. Sorry, I'm out and about, so that's why the camera was off, but I was listening to everything. Jake, we really needed that kind of better explained, because I knew that I had been putting in messages, guys, about supervision. And look, ideally, I'll be honest, ideally it would be compulsory in the sense of, and it's not like we want to be, we're very conscious, like the best assets we have is the people, and ye are volunteers. And the last thing we want to do is add one more thing that we're asking you to do, because you're already giving up your nights by the fire and coming in and, you know, sitting with people in their lowest moments, and that's hard. I suppose the only thing is, by asking you to do that, in some ways, we're putting you at risk in your own mental health. You know, it is a very difficult thing to do, whether you have psychology or psychotherapy in your background and you're studying in that area, or you're not, and you're just similar to me, a regular person that just wants to sit with people who feel like they have no hope, or who just are lonely sometimes. But it does play, it does actually affect us. And the reason supervision, I suppose, for me is just something that I feel very strongly about, is I'm very good at putting my hand up and saying when I get it wrong. And I tell you, I got it wrong. The first year I opened the Haven Hub, I did 76 interventions on the first year. I made sure that other people were checking in with the ICAS students at the time. That was the setup. I didn't do so myself. And I was back in St. Pat's. I just completely burnt out. And I think if I had someone that I was checking in with on a regular basis, they'd have seen that. They'd have helped me to recognize that. And when I burnt out, it's not the people I helped that paid the price, although they did, because then I wasn't available at all. It was my family, the people who loved me the most, my kids, my partner. So, you know, it's just, ye all have families and ye all have other responsibilities. And the last thing we want to do is to see any of you burn out, any of you get to the point where the work that you're doing, although very, very needed, is in any way jeopardizing your own health. And that can be a slippery slope when it begins to happen. Some of us are doing what we do to get away from other problems, from our own problems. Sometimes it's easier to look at other people's problems. And as long as we know that sometimes we do it for that reason, that's okay. You know, as long as we have our eye on it. And sometimes we do it and we think we're saving people, and we think, you know, it's because, I don't know, we're trying to be something that actually isn't what we're there for. What we're there for is to sit with them and help them come up with their own answers. And sometimes we put ourselves under awful pressure to know what those answers are when that's not what we need to do. And supervision, I suppose, I just want to make sure that nobody else makes the mistakes I made in pushing yourself to a limit where you're jeopardizing your own mental health. So for yourselves, I was very passionate, and that's where Jake came in. So Jake, what I loved, and I'm so happy Jake has stepped in as a director. Jake's been with us more or less from the start. He's seen us grow. He's grown with us. He's seen us, you know, kind of change things as we go, as we learn. And he's been always very straight up with us about what changes he thinks would be good, about what's needed. And he really much pushed for, look, there is no supervision. There's nowhere to go when we're not sure if we made the right call. We have our policies, but our policies can't come up with every single outcome. And what I loved about Jake was he was able to say, we need and we deserve, and that the volunteers deserve more than that. So that's where My Move come in. And My Move are basically gonna look at all of that. At the same time, I also want the ICAS students to be available to you if you're, like, you know, we all have lives outside of here. Maybe you're going through separation, you know, maybe you're going through recent bereavement. Doesn't mean that you can't volunteer with the Haven Hub. Maybe you really like volunteering, but you're also going through a little bit of stuff yourself. That's more counselling. And that's where the likes of Karen, the likes of Stephen, you know, and the other ICAS people, the likes of Laura and stuff will come in. And like, we're recording this, so this will go out to all the volunteers. So if you're going through something that's kind of personal, that really doesn't have anything to do with the Haven Hub, but that you're struggling with yourself, we want to make sure that, like, that you have support. And it's the psychotherapists, the ICAS people that are on, and Karen, that, you know, they get something back because they have so many hours that they need to give counselling for. So it's a two-way process. You're getting a little bit of help and support and guidance from a psychotherapist. They're getting to do their hours on placement. What I need to be careful of there is, ethically, what used to happen was you could, like, I'll give Laura for an example, because Laura's been with us a good while as well, so I know she won't take offense, but say if Laura was with you and she's an equal to you, and she's, you know, in interventions with you 1 minute, and then the next minute she's checking in and seeing, are you okay? There's a bit of a boundary issue there with, okay, well, you know, how can I talk to her about whether I'm okay or not? And then the next breath, try and sit there as an equal with her, you know, and that can be hard. So for that reason, when it comes to the counselling, the people that are based in Ennis are going to be offering counselling for the volunteers that are based in Limerick, and vice versa. Okay, so that you're not on duty with the person who'd be sitting down and chatting to you, and that could be over Zoom or it could be face to face over coffee. Both people are getting something from it, so I'd really encourage you to reach out. I could definitely do with chatting to somebody. I definitely have stuff that has nothing to do with the Haven Hub that I could just do with chatting to. Over in America, most people go and they see counselling. Like, you know, it doesn't mean that you're in a really bad spot. It means I'm keeping an eye on my own stuff. So I'd encourage you to use the ICAS students for that. The council, the supervision, then that's with My Move. And like that, I'm very honest, My Move want that to be compulsory. They want it to be that every single volunteer has got to do supervision. The reason being is, with peer support, guys, there is a lot of people out there that are doing it that really shouldn't be, that really need support right now. And it's recognizing that is a process in itself. I definitely did it at times when I shouldn't have been. I was struggling myself, and any bit of energy I had, I was handing to somebody else. And I was doing a disharm to myself. I wasn't the right person to sit in that room with those people in those moments. And I was hurting my family because I was putting myself in jeopardy. I couldn't have figured that out by myself. So supervision will help you to see, am I in the right place actually to be doing this work? What about if I make a mistake? What can I learn from it? How do I fix it? How do I admit it and yet stay a volunteer? I make mistakes every day. We all are guessworking. We can have policies. Sometimes it's black and white and sometimes it's very, very grey. And it's about looking, like Jake said, and he described it so well. I'm so delighted that he was able to do this, because like you said, so many things we are guessing. It is a judgment call, and we can learn so much from each other. So, you know, a lot of the time we don't get the opportunity to sit and talk. This is an opportunity to say, well, this is how we handled it. I wasn't so sure. This is what it was felt like. And, you know, this was on my mind when I went home, you know, and to clear up anything that we're not sure about. So, you know, that's specific to the work that we're doing in the Haven. And the only person that can actually talk to us about that is through supervision. So counselling can't do that piece. But I would encourage you to consider whether you do and whether you would benefit from some counselling or not. And I would have to say that I really, really need you to try and really work with us with the supervision. Even if it takes a couple of hours out of your week, I'd much rather that than for you to be kind of spending, you're going to spend time in your heads thinking about the people that you're supporting anyway. And this is a safe space to do that, in an area where it's not falling into your everyday. It's not falling into your place of your home place. You're not thinking about it when you're with the kids in the park. You can kind of block that away until you get to supervision, and then open up that space for it. So it's going to be affecting you anyway. So we might as well do that in a safe space rather than at home. So I'll hand you back to Jake. I just wanted to really thank you, Jake, because this is something I've been passionate about, and that I've been struggling to kind of, on top of everything else, try and make sure that we have it right. There is a little bit of uncertainty around the arrangements with My Move, so they're coming back to us. Basically, what they'd like to do is do one-to-one sessions and group sessions, and like that they'll offer through Zoom and face-to-face, but we just don't have the detail of that's needed at the moment. Just want to massively thank Jake. Jake stepped on as director. He's taught us so much already. His main aim here is, how does the decisions that the board make affect the people on the ground doing the work you do? And every time he's in a board meeting, he's there to be the voice of the volunteers. So it's really important you connect with him as you need to. If you've any concerns whatsoever, we learn through people coming back to us and say, look, this is what I experienced. This is how I felt. And I actually really appreciate that. So Jake is your person in the meantime that you can have a chat to if there's any concerns around anything on shift. Dell would be like that, working very, very much alongside Jake, because I am conscious that Jake is on the ground in Limerick and he's not in Ennis. So Ennis has Karen that'll work alongside Jake and feed everything back to Jake with Ennis as well. So she'll be your touch point, and then Mitchelstown will be more kind of through Jake. So yeah, I just wanted to pop on and thank you, Jake, because that was a brilliant presentation. It really tells the difference between the supervision. It shows us how important it is, and just to encourage you, if you can, to just work with us with it, rather than see it as just another thing we all have to do.
It might be like another thing we have to do, but I tell you now, you will actually save time. You'll spend less time in your head. You will save so much time of worrying everything. Like, it's worth it. Like, it's not just, we have to do this because it's legal or anything like that. It's actually, it's free, and I'm telling this from experience that there's sometimes an intervention can be so crazy that you're like, what the hell do I do? And supervision can help you make those decisions, but also if you made the decisions on how you about it, then you can bring it to the next supervision session. So that's it, guys. It's just for you, really. So try and make it every once a month kind of thing. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Thanks ever so much for that, Jake, and the owner for that.
No worries, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Jake.
No worries, Jennifer.
Bye.
Good to hear from you. All right, bye.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Look, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
great to have your support. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll chat anyways during the week or something if you're around. All right.